This is LeetCode 1298, maximum candies you can get from boxes. So um, in this problem, you're just given a bunch of boxes and you have four arrays here. So the first one is status, so saying whether the ith box is open or not. Candies is the number of candies in each box. Keys is what keys are in each box. And then contained boxes is what boxes are contained in that box. So at first I was like, okay, this is a little tricky, but it kind of makes sense, right? Because basically you're just given initial boxes, right? And you're trying to find the total number of candies. So basically, you're given some initial boxes, and you just want to see, okay, are any of these boxes open? And then you're just going to open them, see what keys are in there, see what other boxes are in there, and you just want to keep opening boxes and adding the candies and seeing, okay, if we collect some keys, you want to keep track of the boxes you have and the keys that you have. And, maybe let's say you find a locked box and you don't have the key for it, but maybe, somewhere down the road you find the key to that box, then you want to return to that box and open it. And then keep going from there. So it's basically like, I guess what I'm describing is very like sort of a BFS traversal, right? Because you can think of this problem as a directed graph problem where like the boxes are the nodes and the edges are, what contained boxes are within that box. So like where can you go from that box? And then the keys are basically like, if a box is closed, then it's like that path on the graph that edge on the graph is restricted. And so maybe you have to explore the graph a little more to be able to come back to that part of the graph. So, I think there's really like one way to do this problem, right? I mean, I guess you could do it DFS too, but I think maybe that would be a little more tricky. But the point is, you're just doing a BFS traversal, in a sense. So, and it's the primary data structure here is going to be a queue, right? So, because we're just going to be adding boxes to this queue and just opening boxes as long as we can open boxes, we're going to be opening boxes. So, something like this. And we'll get each box, and then we have a result, and we're just going to be adding all the candies we have to this result and then just returning that at the end because we want to see how many candies we can get. So so the main thing is we need to keep track of the boxes that you have and also the keys that you have. So key set, I think, is a pretty good name for that. And then you also want to keep track of what boxes you've opened. So there's three sets here, and because you don't want to open boxes twice, right? So basically, the first check here is going to be if we'll pop first, and then we'll say if box in opened. We just continue because you don't want to open a box twice. And then we can just add it to opened. And then also we can initialize this to boxes. So boxes is just keeping track of the boxes we have. So this is going to stay. I had to turn off the timer. So this is just going to stay. This is going to start off with the initial boxes that we have. So there's three things you want to handle, right? You want to collect the candies, then you want to look at what keys you have, and do those keys unlock any of the locked boxes that we have, right? And then also what other boxes are contained in the box that we just opened. So, the first thing's pretty easy, right? We just add the number of candies in that box. And we can do this because, we don't have to check, oh, is the box open? Because we're only going to be adding to the queue if we know we're actually able to open the box. So we can just go ahead and add the candies. So the next thing is to go through the keys, right? So for key in keys box, so the first thing we'll do is add it to our key set. So key set add key, and then what you want to do now is you want to say, are there any boxes we have that have not been opened yet, but we just found the key for? So if key, so if the key is in boxes and key not in opened, right? So if it hasn't been opened, but we have the key for it, then we can just go ahead and add that to our queue. And so that handle, yeah, I think this handles the key case, or the keys at least, not case, but and the next thing to handle is the contained boxes. So for contained box in contained boxes box, we'll say, so we'll add it to our boxes set, and then we'll say, basically, you know, I mean, the first thing to check is, has it been opened yet? So if contained box not in opened, and so here we're gonna say, there's gonna be two cases where we can open the box, right, immediately. Either it's open already, so if either status contained box is 1, or we have the key for it. So if contained box in key set. And so if that's true, then we can immediately open the box. So we can add it to our queue. And I think that's about all you need, because yeah, this will just go through and traverse all the nodes, all the boxes. Let's see. Oh, right. I forgot a very important thing. We have to actually add the initial boxes, right? So that's why we're getting 0. So we'll just say if status, so for the initial boxes, if the box is open, because we don't have any keys at this point, right? So if the box is open, then we can add that to our queue. Queue.end box, and okay, awesome. So the tiny optimization I think that you can make here is basically just adding conditional right here to say, if key not in key set, then you do this, because you know, this is basically like, you know, you have an add and append here, which you know, it'll still work, but you really only want to do this if you haven't seen the key yet. Otherwise, this is kind of redundant, and you're going to be revisiting nodes, and you're just going to be continuing here. So in fact, I wonder if this actually, we might not even need this potentially. Okay, yeah. So I mean, this is just a safety check, but I'm sure that, I think, you know, it makes sense that if you were to just handle the logic a bit differently down here, then you probably could avoid having to do this check here. But I mean, yeah, this code works, and let's see, it's pretty efficient. And it's just O of n, because you know, you're just traversing the nodes of the graph, basically. So yeah, that's this problem. Yeah.